Hi, everybody. Welcome to a new episode of your Frederick podcast. My name's Gary, and here I am once again. It's a lovely, sunny, and chill Friday, which is just absolutely my favorite weather, basically. I just love when it is this way. It's sunny, but it's fall, so it's just chilly the way we love it. So, just not to break the ritual here, go grab your cup of water in this case, or coffee in my case, or beer, or as I always say, whatever it takes for you to relax and just come with me, because today we're going to talk about something quite interesting and quite recent, I would say. At least I don't have the impression that this concept is old. Maybe it is. Let's just wrap it up and talk about it a little, and then you tell me if you feel like this is old or new or more or less. Anyways, come with me. Well, as an English teacher, one of my favorite things is getting to talk to my students in English, right? Of course, specifically with those in the more of an intermediate or advanced level. So the conversation gets more quote unquote complex. That is, we can deepen the conversation and discuss beyond just the purpose of bringing vocabulary to the conversation and analyzing the grammar structures, which happens with the basic level to pre-intermediate level students. So yeah, and quite often, frankly, I catch myself talking about things of the past, like movies or plays or music, that looking at them, at these things, at these artistic expressions or anything that involves liking or disliking, and then I just can help but analyze them through the today's. Now, I'm not gonna say modern because that's a vague concept, but today's point of view, right? So there are lots of movies and TV shows and songs, of course. I said music that I used to love. I grew up in contact with. And then when I look at them today, I just have the nostalgia. Well, this is a key word for today's episode, by the way, nostalgia, right? That is the feeling. Okay, you guys know the word because it's the same in Portuguese. But yeah, so the feeling of the nostalgic feeling comes hitting my door, comes knocking on my door, so to say, when I talk about lots of things. And then I just can't help but, I'm using this expression a lot. I hope you know that when I say I can't help but, is like it is inevitable for me to do. I can resist or I can do anything but do that. Okay, so when I say I can't help but, it's like I can't avoid doing that. All right, so I can't help but think, like, would I really appreciate this work, artistic work, as much as I would had I seen it for the first time today? That is, if I didn't have any kind of affective memory related to it, connected to it. And the automatic answer I have is no to most of them, all right? And this is pretty interesting because, well, so how much my opinion, is really honest or unbiased. Okay, if you don't know the term unbiased, comes from bias. That is when you have a preference. Okay, when you're not just 100% spontaneous, right? In Portuguese, it's like viés. Okay, so enviesado or something like that. So yeah, this is my teaser to this conversation. So I ask you, have you come to think of it? Have you ever put in a kind of a trial situation the things, movies, songs, shows you love ever since you were a kid or a teenager? If so, How was it? How did it go? Did you just, you know, get to the conclusion that most of the things you loved as a kid and or as a teenager you wouldn't love as much today if you hadn't seen them as a kid or teenager? Yeah, this is that's my question for today. This conversation of affective memory for me always comes when I talk about movies like Rambo, for example, which were the first three movies were released before I was born. Okay, if my calculations aren't wrong here, I think the first one was 77, 79, then 81, then 85. I was born in 89, so the three first movies came out before I even was born. But of course, in the 80s, in case you don't know, things weren't as fast as they are today, meaning that a movie that came out in the States in 85, was not rare or unusual for people to watch it for the first to watching it for the first time in 1995, for example, or 2000. So yeah, of course, in my case, I didn't go to the movies, no matter how slow this arrival to Brazil process was. It wouldn't take that long, for me, because first time I saw Rambo, I was like 12 or 11 or 10. I don't remember exactly. But of course, I just loved it, just like any other boy. All that shooting and killing. And running in the forest is just something that really caught my attention back in the days. And inevitably, I developed affective memory, right? So yeah, this is it. That's the combo, right? Then I saw the other movies, the second and third, the trinity of Rambo. And then, much to my, good surprise and love, why not, a fourth movie came out in 2004, okay, when I was a teenager, and then I saw it fresh, okay, not in the movies because I'm from the countryside and we didn't have it there, but as soon as it was released on DVD, I watched it and I loved it, right? And then most recently I saw movie 5 and I pretty much enjoyed it. I'm not gonna say I loved it, because no matter how, this is an interesting thing, no matter how strong the so-called affective memory is, it isn't like absolute, right? So this is like the reason why I saw it and I liked it, and then I couldn't help but ask myself, would I even have liked this movie? Would I even have appreciated this movie hadn't I had all this affective memory, this not personal but connection, right? Spiritual connection. I don't know. That's the correct the expression. With the movie before, if I didn't have this affective memory before, I'm never gonna know, right? This is the honest answer I can get, I can give. And we're never gonna know. This is interesting on one hand and terrifying on the other. But we're never gonna know if we would have loved the movie hadn't we seen that before and fallen in love with it as a kid or as a teenager. And before you get me wrong, I'm not saying that affective memory only comes like during your childhood or teenager years, okay? No, but let's agree that during these years where everyone while looking back thinks like, hey, I had like way fewer problems, or way less stress than today, right? When I was a kid or a teenager, which is not totally true, right? If we just manage to recover our memories, we're gonna see if we manage to take us back somehow, like having really strong memories. We had as much stressing as we do today, of course, with normally more vain things, like things that weren't as worrisome as the things we have today, as the bills to pay, as the family to feed, right, that we have as grown-ups. But we did, and it wasn't all seasoned flowers, like so yeah, all right. I'm not saying that, but specifically that, okay? And I again wonder if like something I get in contact today and I love, will I 20 years from now look back and go, hey, like, will I have effective memory because of today? I don't know. It's a mystery even to me. Interestingly, there is the other way around. There is the contrary. That is the things you don't enjoy as a kid, as a teenager, or you can possibly enjoy as a teenager or kid, and then when you grow up, you just love it, right? Let's bring just 2 examples here. First, I think I mentioned that before in an episode. I feel like this is not the first time I'm telling this to you guys, but anyways, when I was like 8 or 9, my sister and I, kids, she's 1 year older than me, we stayed with our uncle, whom I love, okay, and loved even more when I was a kid. And he had us watching the movie, the Mel Gibson's Braveheart, okay? Parenthesis, extra comment here. Today, looking back with a grown-up eye, I think probably my parents were looking for some privacy to do what grown-ups do, right? Just this extra comment. But then we started watching this movie, and I remember like totally hating it. And it's no surprise here, every 8-year-old would hate it, unless you're like a genius or something, like an extraordinary brain. You will hate it. There's no context for a kid to love it. And so did my sister, although I don't quite remember her complaining, right? But then, if you guys know the movie I'm talking about, it's a long movie. It's a 2.5 hour long movie. And I remember one point that I was sitting on a couch, and then I started sitting on the floor. And then there was a point I kind of made a noise with my mouth of disagreement, like boredom with my mouth. And my uncle asked me, "Are you bored? You're not enjoying that?" All due respect to my uncle, but what a stupid question. An 8-year-old, I just hated it. And I think he just pull out the tape. Yes, we're talking about the days where VHS was around. So he just pull out the tape and put something else to watch, or turn off the TV. I don't remember anything from there. I forgot. But my point here is, today I just love this movie. I think it's a wonderful movie. It's one of the best movies I saw a few years ago as a grown-up, and then I loved it, and I still do, right? So there's the contrary. The other example I said I would bring was Schindler's List, right? You can possibly enjoy that as a kid, and I even remember because it aired on TV, on SBT, by the way, because Silvio Santos is a Jewish, so he would get this movie played as a kind of a memory, commemoration of the whole story with the Jews in the World War II. And I remember just seeing the trailer of it on TV and going like, like they're saying this is an amazing movie, tells an amazing story, but it doesn't look like. And then I remember, not sure if in the same occasion, but I remember once as a kid or teenager, I started watching it on TV. My mom didn't say anything. Perhaps she should, but she didn't. And I saw the first 15 minutes and I turned it off, like, oh, gross. Like. And today I just love it because today I understand the meaning of the movie. I couldn't possibly do that as a kid, right? So, okay, I'm just bringing this out of curiosity because there is the reverse process, right? But I think with the thing with the affective memory, it is something that, well, if you have kids, and I'm gonna tell my kids, like, enjoy things, enjoy artistic work, right? As a kid, because some of them will totally go away when you grow up, when you start understanding things. There's a lot of cartoons. I talked last week. I talk about animes. There are lots of animes. I try to start watching recently, and I didn't. It didn't hook me because, yeah, of course, I just saw that as a grown up, not as a kid. Had I seen that as a kid, I probably would have loved that, which I didn't. Also, quite famous movies from the 80s, like Highlander, for example, is one I just saw a few years ago. Okay, cool movie, but I'm not gonna rewatch it. I'm not gonna watch it again. I'm not gonna, go after it. And I am absolutely sure that if I had seen that in my childhood or teenager years, I would have liked that. At least liked that. At least going like, oh, let me watch it again. Yes, that's all I had to say today. And if I'm lucky enough, managed to have you wondering, thinking about it, and you can add to the comments down here. Is there anything you like and you feel like enjoying it, loving it, just because of affective memory, and not only or not at all because of its quality? Just drop down your comments. I'm really, really curious. Every time I have the opportunity to ask people this, I do that. So that's what I'm doing right now. All right, this is it for today. Thank you one more time for your lovely company. I see you in the next episode. Bye.